Hello everyone. Now I'd like to share with you a copy of the BP Grimaud Ancien Tarot de Marseille. It's the deck that all the subsequent French Tarot de Marseille Grimaud decks have been copied from. And along with some of one of the copies, this one, along with the Fournier, which used the same source, and then also a facsimile printed by Octopus Books of the same tarot. And all these decks are taken from the Conver of 1760, which was also recopied by the Camion Publishing in 1880, which is what Paul Marteau, the deck that Paul Marteau took his deck's coloration from. So the designs are all the original Conver, but the coloration is different from the Camion version in 1880. And these decks are the ones, at least that I have, that are also of that same coloration. You'll see what that looks like when we go through the decks. So these are the boxes. You're probably familiar with the Ancien Tarot de Marseille. It's commonly used in France and somewhat in America. And this is the Fournier edition, a Spanish publishing. And this is Paul Marteau's, and this is the facsimile by Octopus Books. And the backs of the cards look like this. So this is sort of a design of all sorts of symbols and such. And this is this has little pinwheels, blue pinwheels on a kind of tan background, and another kind of little design, and the Fournier. So with that said, I think I'll move these over. We can do this is the facsimile. This is Paul Marteau's copy of that facsimile. And this is the more modern, it's a 1981 more modern edition. It's vintage, but it's modern, by Grimaud. And the Fournier. Okay, so the Fool. Here's where you see a difference from the Conver that a lot of the other copies are made from, and that's in the suit or the vest of the juggler or the magician. It's got red on the left and blue on the right. And Paul Marteau also wrote a book detailing some of his color changes, or what he thought Camion was signifying by having color changes from what was done before that. Papesse, High Priestess. This particular copy from 1881 has both the English and the French titles. The rest are all in French, and originally, of course, they were in French. This particular printing that Marteau made in 1930 of the Camion Conver was only in print 1 year, or one printing. And then by 1931, the company, Grimaud, was sold to Simon of France-Carte, and they did make some changes. It looks similar to this, that original, like 1931 deck. The box is a little different, but the four of coins, or dernier, changed from the fleur-de-lis to the tulip design. And it's been the tulip design up until today in that four. So that is one difference that I don't know why they changed it. And I couldn't seem to find out why they didn't keep the fleur-de-lis. We'll see that when we get to the pips. You see that the facsimile has all the makings of the original, with things being unclear and kind of smudgy, whereas the Marteau copy cleaned up the lines and the coloring, as have many reproducers of this deck. But facsimiles are just photographs of the original, so then you get all the wear and tear showing. See how much more subtle the coloration was in these early 1930 and 31 decks. Then the card maker eventually made it much more primary color looking with the white background. And this Fournier copy clearly came from the same edition of the Conver, the Camion, but his coloration, he took a lot of liberty with that. These are much more the same. And even though Grimaud was sold to Simon of France-Carte, the Grimaud copyright is still on all of the modern decks. They kept that copyright. But they didn't change it to their copyright or their name. See, the detail's beautiful on these buttons compared to these are kind of indistinct. And the death card traditionally was not labeled or titled. This copy from the 1980s put in the title of death. The detail in Paul Marteau's deck and the card stock is just beautiful. It slides really well. It's not laminated, but it's not sticky. And the lines are clear. I love it. So those are the majors. We'll do a few minors of each, just to give you a sense of how they look. And then the courts of the wands. This is my favorite knight of the Marseille deck. I just love this horse with his cape. And the beautiful castle cups of the ace. And then here's the one change that Paul Marteau made on the Two of Cups. There was this seal at the bottom, and he filled it in with a red, what he called the red table, signifying the baser instincts of love and passion, sort of like the possibility of passion and desire. So that was his change to the Conver and the Camion. And all the subsequent decks from Grimaud have kept that, but then some of the copies, like these two, well, this this one is in the original, and then this is what they did in with the Fournier. They put their card maker on it, which is typically done. So then we can go to the courts. Okay, so the valet, the knight, the queen, and the king. And the swords. As you know, the swords in the Tarot de Marseille are curved in the even numbers, and, well, not only, and then some have a straight sword as well, on the odd numbers especially. And we'll scoot to the quartz. This detail is fabulous. And here's the tax stamp on this first edition. They took it out of the facsimile, but I don't know if it is on the Cameo. Some printers had a tax stamp on their deck. So here's where the card maker puts his mark on the two of coins. Grimaud 1930 and then 1748, which is disputable. It's probably 1880. And that's just too complicated to go into why that was put in there, but it's impossible because the company wasn't even purchased by Grimaud it couldn't have been 1748, but in any case, Paul Marteau is 1930 and Grimaud, and here it's the 1760 with Conver, that's the facsimile. And this says what this one says, and then the Fournier doesn't have a date, just their name. 3, and then here's the difference that they made. Now, this is the facsimile, the Camion, and the copy, and then that change that was made when Grimaud sold to Simon France Carte. So now you see a tulip, and I don't know why. I don't know why they chose that particular symbol. Maybe some of you know that. You can add a comment about that. And then the quartz of the coins. Now I'm going to put